Hi, this is Bob Weiss. I'm the host of Shaking Your World. Cheers. Welcome to another episode of Shaking Your World. We are, of course, at the Magnificent Shakers. Today we are doing something outside the box even for us. We are going to do a Persian menu. We have Becky with us today who's going to guide us through the process. So here's to us. Cheers.
Salamati.
Have fun. All right, so first thing up, we're going to make this yogurt dip, right? So you tell us what you got going on right now.
Yep, so Persian Yogurt Dip, or Masto Kiar, is similar to what you might know as Greek tzatziki sauce. And it's yogurt, fresh herbs, cucumbers, and some shallots. Throw in a little bit of walnuts for texture, and let that chill. And you would serve it as an accompaniment with like bread. And in our case, we're going to serve it on the side of our kebabs that we're going to be making later today.
So this is something I've not worked with before. Labna?
Correct.
And it is it's a Middle Eastern yogurt-like product, yet they don't quite specify it as a yogurt. Can you tell us about that?
Yep, so labna is, as it says, a Middle Eastern type yogurt. It is much thicker and creamier than, I would say, like a Greek yogurt or a plain whole milk yogurt. If you don't have labna at home, you can use whole milk, full fat yogurt and some sour cream to get a similar texture and taste.
It's a good tip. All right, so we got 3 of these in, 16 ounces a piece.
Yep.
And you've already got some herb in there. What's going on with that?
Yep, so went to the farmer's market in Shorewood this morning and was able to get some fresh herbs. Typically, this is made with dill, scallions, and mint. But I would say that in Persian cooking, like any herb you have is the right herb to use when we're cooking today. So we'll make it traditional with the dill and the mint and the scallions.
Excellent. This is much denser than yogurts I've worked with before.
Yep.
So how do you make this?
It's really just chop up all the ingredients, put it all together and let it chill for about an hour and it should be ready to go.
Actually, I meant how do you make the yogurt? So.
Oh, don't know.
Okay.
I mean, it's traditional where you strain it overnight and try to get it as dry as you can.
Sure.
But never made it at home.
Okay, fair enough. Here you go, ma'am.
So I think what we should do is get the cucumber in here next.
As you're driving the bus.
Okay.
What I like to do is I put in different ingredients and I like to kind of get a little texture going with them because I think it's easier to have a nice homogeneous mix going that way.
Well, I'll be learning today too, Bob.
Okay, well, that sounds like fun. So with the cucumber, you're going to cut that down into
little bite-sized pieces.
Little bite-sized pieces.
Yep.
Perhaps I can do that while you're mixing that together.
Sounds good. You can leave the peel on. Sometimes I peel half the cucumber and keep the other half with the peel on. But for today, I figured it would be better just to peel the whole thing.
Okay.
So as you can see, the yogurt is much thicker than what you would see in a typical Greek style or regular style yogurt.
Absolutely. So I see that you're using a seedless, often called
Persian cucumber.
Persian cucumber. Yep. And the reason for that is because this is just what is indigenous to the area, or because you don't like seeds, or because of what?
I think from a practical perspective, it was indigenous to the area, but I think it's the liquid content of the seeds that would change the consistency of the yogurt. So it's better to have less water content in.
Fair enough. So you want something smaller than this, or where are we going?
That's perfect.
Aw, it's so sweet of you to say that. All right, so begin that. And you want the entire cuke in there, right?
We're going to put 2 whole cucumbers in there, actually.
Holy balls.
Yep.
And after this, we're going to put the mint in?
Yep.
So these are obviously all products that are indigenous to Persia.
Correct.
Now known as Iran.
Correct.
And not a lot of representation for Persian restaurants, at least not in the Milwaukee area.
There isn't. There is probably a bigger contingent of Persians in the Chicago area.
Oh.
But probably the biggest concentration in the U.S. is in the Los Angeles area. So near LA, there's like Whitfield Hills. They call that like Little Tehran.
So why Los Angeles? Is it climate?
I don't know.
Okay.
If you've ever seen the show Shahs on Sunset, which takes place in the Los Angeles area, they're Persians.
Huh.
So,
Well, that's cool.
terrible reality TV, Bob. You probably wouldn't know.
Nope, sorry. While I'm doing this, if you want to cut up some mint,
I would love
might be
to.
nice. We can perhaps clear a little space on this side of your bowl,
Okay.
or we could put your bowl up for a moment as well. So there are many different styles of mint,
There are.
and we're using just a straight ahead mint right now. Is that what you're accustomed to use with this, or?
Yep. I feel like spearmint more than peppermint has a better flavor. So when I grow it at home, this is the kind I use as well. We're looking to get we have about 4 tablespoons of dill and probably about 2 tablespoons of mint. I was telling Bob yesterday that where you might think that this is very similar to Mediterranean cooking, I would say there are a few key ingredients that are a little bit different than, let's say, Greek cooking. One being, instead of lemon, Persian cooking has a lot of lime. And there's a specific Persian lime that they have in their region. And then instead of garlic, which they do use garlic, they use onion. So you'll see today we'll have a lot of onions in our recipes.
Cool. So, you ever use anything like a kaffir lime?
Yep, so I'm not sure what the exact species of lime that it is, but it is similar to a kaffir lime.
Sure, okay.
And you can also dry the limes. And when you get into the colder months and you start to make things like stew, you actually use dried limes and not fresh ones.
Well, that sounds like fun.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of sour elements in Persian cooking. Limes, a lot of sour cherries. Sumac, which we're going to see later, that we're going to use as a garnish, also has like a kind of a sour taste.
So, sour as a ex-mother-in-law?
Maybe ex-wife sour.
Ah, well, there we are.
All right, so we got our mint added. We're working on our cucumbers.
It smells fantastic, by the way. The aromas, just with that simple combination of the mint and the dill, is dynamic.
Yeah.
So when I was taught by my grandmother to make stuffed peppers, in of course her Greek kitchen, that's exactly what she used for a combination as a stuffing in that. I know a lot of people don't, but I think the combination is just outstanding.
So Bob, do we have some garlic that we can get going as well?
We sure do. In the cooler right behind me, on the far left-hand side, on the top. Nope.
My other left?
On the top. Here. This flips up.
This cooler.
Left side.
And I add about 4 cloves of garlic. So Bob, you were asking if there was a lot of seafood in Persian cooking, and so I've been trying to think about recipes that I've seen or foods that I've had, and one thing we didn't talk about at all is, one, sturgeon, which they eat a lot of, but 2, caviar. So I haven't had the pleasure of having legitimate Persian caviar, but that is also a very big thing that Persian cuisine.
Any difference between the technique used for harvesting Persian as opposed to Russian caviar?
Probably not. They're
Probably
so
not.
similar to each other, so close in geography. Russian caviar, sturgeon.
Cool.
So we're gonna get the garlic in. All right, so what do we all have in here now?
Dill, mint, garlic, cucumber, and of course the yogurt.
Okay.
Anything else going in here?
Yep, let's put some walnuts and half cup chopped scallion.
All right, you got the scallion?
Got some scallion. So I think the walnuts give it a really interesting balance of texture and taste. I was a little worried to put them in there the first time I made it. That's about a half cup. Half cup.
Yep. And how many of these?
6 tablespoons. Oh, that's good. It's going to give these a little bit of a chop. You can also add raisins to this yogurt, preferably yellow raisins over more traditional ones. Where's your bench scraper go?
So these are your old family recipes?
Oh gosh, no. They're somebody's old family recipe though.
Okay.
It wasn't until much later in life that I started exploring more about my Persian heritage. So
Sure.
I'm just now learning a lot about the culture and the cooking. All right, so what do we have left? Some salt and pepper, I would guess.
S&P is going to be on your right-hand side on the bench.
All right. Do you want to give it a taste first?
Nope. I have complete faith in what you're doing.
Okay.
It is, after all, your recipe.
All right. Maybe we'll need more salt, but let's get it stirred up first. And then it's best to let this chill for about at least an hour before you eat it to give the flavors a chance to all meld together.
All right. I think we're about where it's going to be.
Yep.
But now that you got it salted,
Time to taste.
let's go ahead and give it a taste. It's the piece I was going for.
Good. Like summertime.
Yum. All right, now what?
So, should probably get going on the meatballs. I think that might take a while.
Okay. Let me
Yeah, maybe we should clean up a little bit first.
grab a sheet pan from the back. And in addition to the beef and the lamb, what's going to go in here?
We're gonna put some pistachios in there. Let me check the list real quick to be sure.
Okay.
Breadcrumbs, parsley, tarragon, lime juice, salt, pepper, cumin.
All right, are we peeling anything else?
So we're not gonna be peeling anything else till we get to the salad later.
Okay.
We don't need to do that right away though.
So I'm just going to move these items up. We're back, of course, at the Shaker's Kitchen with Becky, learning our way through some extraordinary sounding Persian things, and the smells are absolutely delightful. So for this next dish, you describe this as a
Pomegranate and pistachio meatball.
perfect. Now I see we have got some fresh tarragon, we've got pistachios, we're using breadcrumb, in this case using panko. We've got cumin, we've got coarse salt, black peppercorn, and red pepper flakes. And I presume you're going to want to use these little guys right here as the pomegranate component.
Yep, so what we're going to do is we're going to make the meatball with the pistachio, and then we're going to make a pomegranate glaze.
Okay.
So we're going to use some pomegranate syrup to make as the base of that glaze, and then we're going to garnish it with the fresh pomegranate tenderize.
All right, so we've got our food processor right up here.
Yep.
So do you want these to go into a mixing bowl first and then into the processor, or how do you want to do this?
If you want to rough chop the herbs, we can probably give those a rough chop, but then everything can just go in the processor.
All right, so we can just combine these
Yep.
together then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
To quarter the onions, rough chop the herbs. Oh, that smells lovely.
It does, doesn't it? Now, the eggs are going to go in here? Eggs go in later
Nope,
with the
the
meat?
eggs will go in with the meat. Yep,
All right, and about 3 cups or so of the parsley.
that's correct.
Nice,
So-
fresh, vibrant green parsley, yum.
So we're going to make 2 minor variations of this meatball. We're going to make one batch of it with traditional ground lamb, and then one batch with traditional or just regular ground beef.
Uh-huh, okay.
Or if you want, you can mix the 2 together to whatever your taste is.
Is there going to be any liquid that's going to go in here at all?
Just lime juice.
Just the lime juice,
Yep.
okay. This is indeed a lot of parsley.
It is,
It's almost like making a chimichurri here.
almost.
Okay, so why don't we mulch this down a little bit before the onion goes in?
Fair enough.
And as far as the lime juice, I would say right about now we should take this and get our limes in. So
Yep.
2 limes, right?
Yeah, about 2 tablespoons, so that should be about 2 limes.
Okay.
You think you're going to need more?
Nope.
Maybe 1 lime.
Yeah. All right. Of course, as Greek or Italian, we would have oiled this thing up by this point. It is sticky, that's what you wanted, right?
Yep.
Okay, so is this the density you want, or you want something beyond this?
No, I think it's good, but it got to get the onion in there next.
Okay. I notice you're allowing me to do this.
You look better on camera.
Uh-huh. Sure I do. So again, just
Rough chop.
course, to get this going, it's going to go inside, get it all turned up and happy.
So Greek or Italian, you would also probably be putting a lot of garlic in.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. Wow, it smells good. The pistachios and parsley really give it a vibrant color too.
Mm-hmm. Just to make sure we get a thorough admixture of this thing. That is quite pretty and aromatic. So then for the meat, we're going to take the lamb first. Let's start with lamb.
Sure.
And what about our eggs?
1 egg to 2 pounds of lamb.
Okay, so our egg's going to go into the mixing bowl, though, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if you want to open up your lamb, I guess we can probably turn this off now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So lamb up. Oops. Lamb up.
Mm.
All right. Got a nice mix going here.
Perfect. I still got some onion chunks in there. We can maybe just pick those out if we have to. We're not going to roll very nice meatballs with those big chunks.
You can simply put them back in the processor. Or, I think what I might do next time is I would probably process the onions on the front side. I'd have them in the bowl.
Yeah.
And that way, because it's all going to be together anyway, right?
Yep, correct.
So,
you can also hand grate the onions, which is very traditional. You think that's about half? Maybe a little more.
a little more.
What do you think? Look good down.
Still a little more. There you go. So we just toss this back into there, and let's get ourselves.
Yep.
So why don't we put this whole thing in the food processor? There must be a reason for that.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think maybe the meat would get too pasty.
Maybe. All right, so here we are. This is about as
Yep.
groovy as this is probably going to be.
Yep, and it's going to make about 20 meatballs, Bob.
All right, so Becky, I'm going to put this on a sheet pan. Are we going to
Perfect.
oil it first, or
We're going to put them on the sheet pan and let them chill for about 10 to 15 minutes.
no oil?
No oil.
Okay, do me a favor, pull that down here, move these things out of the way. And you're looking for
About 20 meatballs.
this size?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is loose pack. This is the way we would do these here. Otherwise,
Okay.
if I had the proteins, kind of bind, it gets real tough.
Yeah.
Is that what you're looking for?
Yep.
Okay.
Just don't want them to fall apart, so.
Righto. So, you gotta get your hands in here as well, because this is kind of satisfying, I gotta tell you. It feels really good.
What did you call this method? A loose pack?
Uh-huh. But you can call it anything you want. We're like that here.
Easy like Sunday morning?
And this is Sunday afternoon.
So you can serve this as an appetizer, or you can also serve it with like egg noodles, sort of like a Persian version of Swedish meatballs.
Cool. At this rate, we're going to have more than 20.
Uh-oh. You think so? 2, 4, 6. That's 10 right there.
Let's find out, shall we?
I'm going to have to need bigger balls, Bob.
Becky, I think your balls are big enough for both of us, actually. Yeah, so I mentioned yesterday that this really sounds very similar to a Greek style kefketa, obviously. And I'm sure the entire region, though, of the Mediterranean has got all sorts of things that are very similar to this, right?
Oh yeah, there's very big disagreements about the origins of both what we refer to as Turkish coffee and baklava. So depending on who you ask, they're going to claim.
It's Greek, of course.
Of course.
Where's the controversy?
I think Persians would say they invented it.
Well, I bet the Turks probably have a stake in the Turkish coffee as well. So we can just back these up a little, put another roll in there. And perhaps we'll just keep this as a little leftover to play with for something else.
All right. Beautiful.
All right, now, you want me to clean out the bowl, or are we not concerned about the little bit of lamb residue flavor?
I'm not concerned about that little bit of lamb.
Okay, then I'm not either. So now we got this meat, the other egg.
Yep. Here.
There's that little whippy thing. You don't have to do this. Anytime I use an egg like this, I just want to get it, break it down, emulsify this little guy, and get it moving around first. The lamb actually felt a little more satisfying.
Did it? Was it a little more moist?
Is that from the lanolin, you suppose? No, okay.
This is going to go flying.
All right, we got a nice groovy thing going on here. Let's get our other parts in here.
It's childproof.
Just the top dome lights. Yeah. There you go.
Childproof.
All right, another sheet pan, and we're off the ball again.
Oh, I see what you mean. It is a different texture. So one of the things I've been learning about is that, the origin of wine comes from somewhere in the Middle East.
Greece.
They found the first wine bottles in Persia, like about 5,000 BC.
Sure, those amphoras. Yeah.
So I don't know when the first Greek ones were found, but I think people traditionally think because current day Iran is Muslim that Persians don't drink wine. It's not actually the truth.
Hey. Yeah, I think the Greek amphoras are dated to about 20,000 BC. Might even be 120,000 BC.
Are you Greek?
I'm an American.
Well, I mean, you seem to know a lot about the Greek cuisine. You said your grandma was Greek, right?
Well, there you go. That's an answer, right?
My sounds pretty German.
Yep. Well, oddly enough, this Greek chick met this German guy, you see. And the rest they say is history. So, what do we squeeze out of this? We had 2, 4, 6, 7. We have 28 on there. And we've got only 6 rows here. So let's put ourselves one more row up. Gentle, gentle. Gotta be careful with these balls.
Another row or two. Only 4 rows.
All right, so we're all set on these.
Okay.
And I will take this and mix this together. So this will actually be a combination that we'll play with independently.
Yeah, we can maybe try to throw a couple on skewers.
Maybe. We'll see what happens.
Okay. All right, so these got to chill for about 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay. Stick this here. This will have cleaned up. Let me wash my hands first before we do that. All right, so we're back, and we need apparently a cup and a half of honey.
Yep. It's going to be an awfully long video at this rate.
Yep. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to put this back in hot water, if you don't mind putting it right over there. You need 2 cups of the Pinot Noir.
Yep, and a cup of the pomegranate molasses.
And how much of this?
1 cup.
1 cup. Ooh, smells delish.
It's going to make a beautiful glaze.
And aside from the honey, what else goes in here?
A little bit of red pepper flake and some salt. Sure. That's a lot, maybe about half of that. That's good.
Okay, what's next?
That's it. Just stir it together.
Close your eyes, it almost sounds like those chapters back in Nam. Okay.
Try again.
Are we there? Maybe. Hey Liz, do you have any liquid honey over there? Do you have liquid honey over there?
No.
I bet we have honey in the back storage or downstairs, but
Ah, you're cooking with gas.
guerrilla cooking, that's what we do here.
And then you can adjust to taste once you get it all mixed.
It's going to be perfect.
Smells good.
A little granular yet, but that's will continue to break down as it just sits. Okay. All right, so that's going to be over there on the side. What's next?
Well, that's it until we cook the meatballs, but I think they probably need to chill just a little bit longer.
All right, let me get a little more water in here. We've evaporated rather brusquely. This before our rice.
Okay. We could probably go ahead and get started with that now.
Yep.
And we could also start to prep the vegetables for the herb platter.
Sure. Just let me clean the deck.
Okay. What we're working on now is what is known as sabzi cordon, and it's a fresh herb platter. This is typically how you would start a Persian meal. It's a combination of vegetables, fresh herbs, nuts if you have them, and then feta cheese and bread. So I was telling Bob, think sort of like a supper club style relish plate meets Persian cooking. Radishes are very traditionally served. So we have some Easter egg radishes we picked up today that we're prepping. This is served family style. So we'll make 2 platters of these. And Bob, we should probably, if the bread is still in the fridge, maybe pull that out so it can get room temperature.
I'll send someone right down for that.
Okay.
This is basmati rice, which has been soaking overnight. It's well salted. I got heavy salt in the pot over there as well. We have more than enough rice. We're not going to use remotely this much.
If you have other vegetables, you can absolutely use those.
So this very cheese right here, right? How do you want this cut?
You could just leave it whole, and then people can cut it themselves. I don't know if for a restaurant that's a good idea, but typically you would just let them cut their own piece off.
Let's cut that first.
Okay. Then I would say like thin slices. You're going to take a piece of bread and almost make like a little taco with it. Put some cheese and vegetables and herbs in there. So.
Yeah, I'm just not so much a fan of people having knives that hurt people.
Okay.
And then during these COVID times, we're not supposed to have
Okay. That's why I was
family
asking if
meals
we
or
were
buffets or anything else. Yeah.
So, theory, we could have done little mini ones, I guess. It would just taken a long time to plate.
So is this going to go into the rice?
It's going to go on top of the rice at the very end.
So do you want to take some of the starch water from here and use that?
Yep. Just like a couple of tablespoons, and then we're just going to let it sit. We don't actually have to cook it or anything. Just let it dissolve.
We are done with this, right?
Yep.
Okay. So time, I'd imagine now to skewer ourselves some meat over here, right?
Yep.
Let's get our chicken done first. And optimally, how many skewers are you looking for with this?
8, 10, something.
Okay.
How about we
And-
aim for like 10?
Sure. So what's going to be on these besides the meat? Just meat.
Just meat. Yep, and then we'll do some that are just cherry tomato.
Sure. If we can, let's move these things out of the way because this is still raw chicken, so I'm always concerned about cross-contamination. Or to the end of the bar is fine. Thank you. So our onion in here that's been setting up overnight with the chicken is just for flavoring?
Yes.
Okay.
And as you recall, the marinade was onions, lots and lots of lime juice, saffron, olive oil, salt and pepper.
Mm-hmm. Lots of lime juice.
The beef that you're going to skewer next is a similar marinade, except that has a little bit of yogurt added in.
So since we're not going to be grilling these over an open flame today, we don't need to have 2 skewers on. I did the first one with 2 because there's a trick that you can use if you're grilling over an actual grill. If you have 1, they're more than likely to spin on you. If you have 2, they're not as likely. How's that coming over there?
It's coming. I'm just prepping the herbs for the platter. Nothing too exciting.
So, as Becky had us do, we turned this last night. We put this together in the middle of the afternoon yesterday, right? Early afternoon. Mm-hmm. And then we turned this last night before I left for the night. And turned it again this morning. So we have a really good balance of the meats and the marinade.
So Bob, does the yogurt help tenderize the meat?
Yeah, there's an enzyme effect that takes place there, yeah. So I'm looking at the feta cheese container. It doesn't say, of course, where it's manufactured. It's this particular one you got at Whole Foods comes out of Texas as the distribution point, but it doesn't say where the manufacturer is, which is really interesting to me. It doesn't taste anything like a Greek feta or a Bulgarian feta or a French feta, and yet it's not unappetizing at all. It's very flavorful, but it's just a completely different brining technique.
Interesting.
And I'd be curious to know where it's from.
If you can find it, traditionally we would serve Bulgarian feta with this platter.
Love Bulgarian feta.
It's really got a sharp taste to it.
Now this was refresh my memory please, you picked it up, this was a sirloin. Is this a top sirloin or
Top
is this
sirloin.
Top sirloin? Okay.
Yep.
Looks delicious. Take them out for a moment, let them rest. And if I understand correctly, going to reduce our temperature a bit as well. All right, so this was our honey and pomegranate and other miscellaneous things to use as a glaze. I'm just taking a simple little basting brush here and knocking these up.
I'm making a typical Shirazi salad. It's a combination of fresh tomato, cucumber, has a lime vinaigrette dressing. We're going to top it with a little bit of sumac. Sumac gives it a beautiful color, but also has a little bit of a citrus taste.
So sumac, isn't that poisonous?
I hope not.
I think that's what they gave to Socrates, a well-known Greek philosopher, to kill him.
All right, we'll have you try it first.
Oh, thank you. You're so gracious. Keep in mind that I drink for a living. I think I'll be able to survive it. So, these little stemmy type things, and I'm just going to do them sideways, or you want them?
Yep, just like that is fine.
Okay. Well, if it's only fine, does that mean it could be better?
Nope, it's perfect.
And how far are we from being ready to get the skewers in?
Is the rice good to go?
we've had good absorption taking place.
Okay, and what about our meatballs? How do those look?
Cooked and salty. These have now rested for a little while. I'm going to put them back in for a moment.
Okay. And then I think just glaze them a couple more times for like another 5-10 minutes.
Okay.
With that with some sumac. And then you can put like butter if you want. It's okay. Just optional.
All right, I have now launched all the kebabs. So we've got the beef, the chicken, and our tomatoes going. I pulled out our meatballs for about 165 degrees, completely cooked. Marvelous texture, great flavors. Real cool stuff. So, he's gonna hold nicely there. Do you want any heat on top of this bread, Becky?
Yeah, yep, that bread gets warmed. Traditionally with the other bread that's underneath it, it would be, as you were pulling the meat off the grill, you would be using that as like a
plate,
and then you stack it so it keeps the meat warm while you're finishing the grilling.
Good golly, this is some bread. Looks like a banana leaf. And this other bread, what happens with this?
Yep, so what happens with that bread is if we were going to be grilling, and let's say, obviously we don't have a restaurant-sized grill, you would take a foil pan and you would lay maybe 2 pieces of the bread down, and as you were pulling the skewers off the grill, you would lay them in there, and then you would put like another 1 or 2 pieces on, and that way you, one, help keep the meat moist, but also keep it warm while you finish grilling. And then you can tear the bread off until, normally you cut it like into thirds, and then you eat it, you know, like a pita.
Cool.
It's called the vash. And then the bigger bread is called barberry. So this is Persian. Yep. Similar to Mediterranean cooking.
So let's get that also on another plate. And we'll get that back there. We'll get our rice back there. And we'll get ourselves moving ahead.
Okay.
Here you go. Just another moment or two, but these guys look really good to me as well. Yeah, maybe just a minute longer for the beef. Beef will take a little longer because it's not just a denser tissue, but also because they have an extra segment on each one of the kebabs.
We would typically top them with a little bit of sliced pistachio, but we didn't save any from when we made the paste to form the meatball, so we'll have to do without tonight, Bob.
These are wonderful. The taste is extraordinary.
Great.
Yep.
They smell wonderful.
One big honking piece of bread.
Almost done.
So our chicken is done. Gonna rest for a minute. Then I'll plate this, then I'll pull the beef. I think we're pretty much there. So Becky, is it okay if I cut this into pieces?
Yep, exactly.
This has a really interesting texture to it.
Bob, do we want to plate the rice?
Be right on it.
Okay. I can do it.
So you wanted to have the bloom on top of this, and where's your sumac?
The sumac is right there, and then the bloom is here. Let's plate it first, and then we'll top it, maybe? Or
Yeah.
Okay. So the difference between probably most of the rice that you're familiar with and Persian rice is that it's extra long grain. So it's a really long strand of rice. And the reason why you soak it is because they don't want it to be starchy. So you don't want, like you might see in other types of rice where it clumps or sticks together, you want these to be individual strands of rice that you eat.
Is that symbolic of the culture? Individual strands, not...
Maybe.
I'll make this the last one.
Okay.
Pretty enough by itself. So again, this is the poison that Socrates had.
It is.
Sumac, yeah. Okay.
Well, we're going to make Bob take the first bite.
Happily.
The saffron really doesn't impart a lot of flavor onto the rice. It's just more for color.
Well, they say the best saffron in the world comes from Persia. So again, as Becky said, this is something that we probably would have been more adapt if we had done this, or adaptable if we had done this on top of a grill. Because we have such a small amount of it though, and because frankly I'm just a little bit lazy, my knees are a little worn out today, we're not running upstairs to the third floor to grill these things. But roasting, I think, has got a real nice nice product. This looks gorgeous to me, and it certainly smells divine. This is really dense. I mean, it was dense before we put it in the cooler. It is understandably denser now.
Don't say like the Persians.
I'm digging it. No, Persians are very advanced people. I mean, throughout the course of civilization, had really on the cutting edge of technology back in the day, and cool food.
Well, hopefully you enjoy it.
I have enjoyed making it. I enjoy cooking with you, so I'm
Agreed.
sure I will enjoy eating this stuff as well.
I don't know about you. I'm ready for a glass of wine.
Pip pip. Folks, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this segment on Persian cooking at Shakers. Becky did a phenomenal job in showing me the ropes of this marvelous cuisine. It certainly smells good. I can't wait to get myself back there and actually taste it. We will have an upcoming Persian dinner at some point, and of course Becky will come back and cook with that as well. And I can't say enough about the opportunity to experience worldly cuisines. Will set your mind free and make for a much better world for everyone.
Thanks for having me, Bob.
My pleasure. Cheers.